As contract negotiations between the Vancouver Canucks and Elias Pettersson drag on, the Swedish star has done an interview in his native language, which has the West Coast talking. So let's get some instant analysis from Iain MacIntyre. Iain, the quote, he says he wants to be back in Vancouver, but he also wants to play for a team that's trying to win. It's making news out west. Now, sometimes these things can be lost in translation from a different language. What do you make of what he said?
Well, hopefully nothing was lost in translation because it's actually pretty positive. You know, the positive thing is that the star player says he wants to remain in Vancouver. And the other positive is that he also wants to win, because if you didn't want to win, you probably wouldn't want to be building your team around Elias Pettersson. You know, management, which was made familiar with this story today, you know, they've known since last season ended that the team had to be better. Jim Benning came out and said he was going to get more players. He was going to upgrade the team. Some of the players, even in their exit interviews with us on Zoom, said that the team needed more players, more skill, more depth. Well, the Canucks, for the most part, have done that. And they've done that to improve their team so that they hope that next year is a heck of a lot better than the disaster that 2021 was. But they also did that partly to show players like Elias Pettersson that losing is not acceptable. And that when you have a season like Vancouver had last year, that they are going to do whatever they can to improve the team. And they have made some changes to the lineup. It looks on paper to be a stronger team now than when last season ended. And hopefully what Elias Pettersson's comments do are thaw negotiations a little bit. Not that they're completely in a deep freeze, but the two sides obviously still have a ways to go to find agreement.
Okay, so you're saying they have a ways to go now. If for anyone who's not out west and hasn't been following the contract negotiations sort of step by step, hasn't been a lot of news recently. So where do the Canucks and Pettersson sit in these negotiations?
Well, you know, the pressure point of free agency has passed. And once that pressure point passes, quite often we see in these deals that they do or can drag out. That was the case when the Canucks re-signed Brock Besser. It was the case when a few years before that, when they re-signed Bo Horvat. So they're still trying to decide, is it going to be a bridge deal? Is it going to be short-term? Is it going to be long-term? The Canucks, in the changes that they made to the roster, not only did they get some better players, but they also created some flexibility. Now that flexibility is going to come at a cost perhaps down the road. But in the short term, the Canucks made 2 trades and 2 buyouts that basically freed up $25 million. Some of that obviously has already been spent, but the team has more flexibility now than it did, say, a month ago. So it's very much on the table that maybe it's a long-term deal and not a bridge deal. But yeah, we have to remember as well, there's 2 of these negotiations going on simultaneously, because the Canucks are also trying to sign Quinn Hughes. Hughes and Pettersson are represented by the same agency. Pat Brisson and JP Barry are the agents handling this. And they have some leverage in this, having both clients. So it's a complicated negotiations, trying to get the 2 of them done together. I don't know if we'll see one signs and then the other, whether they'll both sign. But it's very much possible that it could be long-term, very much possible it could still be a bridge deal.
Well, certainly nothing lost in translation from you, Iain. Thanks for clearing it up for us, and Canucks fans appreciate your time.
Glad I could help.